Okay, you're good to go, Chair.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let me take this opportunity to thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. We're going to take testimony from you while you're here. We will have another meeting tomorrow night when all of the information will be disseminated to you and will provide you all the data necessary. So you know what we know in terms of making a decision, which we will probably make on the following Monday. I know this is unusual. We need to have one and then a couple of weeks later another one because we had some problems getting appointments in a timely manner. We had to push all of them together. Everything has to be done by the 1st. So that's why we're having a meeting tonight, another one tomorrow night, and then on Monday night we'll have one. Most of you have been here numerous times to deal with them. Start out by allowing the new members to introduce themselves.
My name is Blankfort. I've been working in the real estate industry for over 10 years. My family's business is in Rockland County, and for over 50 years, and I've worked with a lot of tenants and landlords on a regular weekly basis. And I'm here to
Jordan Most. I grew up in Rockland County. Spent most of my formative years in the industry.
I am Robert Condon. I was in real estate for 5 years at least. I've worked with landlords. I've been in Rockland for most of my life, more than half of my life. But looking forward to listening and learning and helping.
Hey, tenant, landlord.
Yep, it's in front of them, but yes. Can I take the one that's not yours, sir? Robert Van Dunk is an owner member. Mr. Most is a tenant member, and Mr. Blankfort is a public member.
This time, I would like to officially open the meeting, and we will take testimony from anyone wishing to provide us.
Good evening to all the chair members. My name is Terry Rodriguez. I am an advocate for the East Ramapo students in the community, and now I'm an advocate for the Spring Valley community. I come before you today to bring up serious problems that are going on in the housing. Whether it would be my apartment complex with cracked walls, garbage, rodents underneath the building, smelling of feces and urine, to apartments that have not been up to par. I'm here to speak on the tenants' behalf. And this has been an ongoing problem in Spring Valley for years. Not only has it been going on for years, but there are tenants who are afraid to come out. There are tenants who are afraid to speak up and prefer to live in the conditions that they're in and pay the high increasing demand for rent. I've seen pictures which I had provided to the missing member. And the pictures are disgusting. Carpets that are over 15 years old, cracks in the walls, ceilings, roaches, mice, other apartments, Funston Avenue, down on Union, everywhere. Okay, I visit a lot of places, and some of you may be owners and tenants and renting, but I guess a lot of people have their own house. Nobody lives in the conditions that everybody else lives in. I need you to put yourself into our shoes and understand that there is a poverty issue as well as a housing crisis in East Ramapo. Although houses are being built and apartments are being built, no disrespect, anti-Semitism, or anything intended. It's geared toward the private community, okay? Whereas the regular public community doesn't have that opportunity to move out, to rent. And some of these are rent-stabilized buildings. Begs to differ what's going on here. Okay, the minority are not being heard. They are not being noticed. They live in fear, and there should be no reason for that. As an advocate for the community, I beg this board to understand that living in an apartment with a carpet that's over 20, 30 years old, wall paintings never been painted, stoves, 1970 issues, a lot of things. If they want a rental increase, things have to change. They wanted a rental increase last year because Regency Village, if I'm correct, received a notice from New York State asking for that rental increase. And the rental increase was because they put new doors. But what about the rest of the building? What about the fact that constantly putting up pillars underneath the buildings to hold up and level up the concrete, which then unhinges the door frames in apartments that are on the lower level, which then creates an effect of rodents and mice and whatever else to start going into the buildings when some of the tenants didn't have these problems before? Or what about the fact that there are other people living in other apartment buildings that have not gotten the repairs that were needed that they request? And when you speak up, then you have the fear of being retaliated against. And then who backs that individual up? Who helps and guides that individual? Because the next time their lease is going to be up, they get it for renewal. Oh, sorry, we're not renewing it. No reason necessary. Probably was a good tenant for 20, 30, 40 years. You have tenants living there for over 50 years in some of these apartment buildings who they call it home, but they're also seniors. They're also on a fixed income. And if this goes up, what happens to them? Where would they live? There's no senior housing available. Everything is jam-packed up. So what other choice is there? But to keep on going into the pockets of individuals who are low income trying to make ends meet, who are on Social Security or Social Security disability, trying to make ends meet and still show up at a food pantry line. I need everybody to put themselves into those shoes. And I need everybody to understand that if people have been continuously living in these conditions for all these years, and if landlords want to increase all over the village, then apartments have to be fixed. Apartments have to be painted. Things have to come up to code. That's not being done. In all fairness, if we keep on hiking the rents, you're going to cripple the people and you're going to put them in the streets. Are you willing to live with that in your conscience? Thank you and have a good day.
Ms. Rodriguez, did you put your name and address or email address on there?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening to this board. My name is Daniel Kazarnovsky. I work with Renaissance Management Group, which manages Sleepy Hollow Gardens on Old Nyack Turnpike. Until last year, when this board awarded us a 2% increase for the 1-year lease and a 3% increase for the 2-year leases, which is still not keeping up with inflation, as most tenants signed the 1-year option, there was a rent freeze in Rockland County for over 5 years. Unfortunately, we didn't have an expense freeze as well. Our buildings, by nature of the fact that they are rent stabilized, are 50+ years old and need tremendous amounts of maintenance. There are critical building systems such as boiler rooms and roofs that are in need of replacement and repairs. My company has been to many rent stabilized board meetings, and over we heard tenants complaining about the lack of services that their management companies are providing. This board is the one that has enabled in the past years these complaints to take place. By not increasing the income in line with expenses, you are hereby forcing landlords to make very difficult decisions, and usually it has a direct effect and reduces the services that they can provide. And ultimately, it's always the tenants that are paying the price. Currently, our in-place average rents for our one-bedroom and rent-stabilized units are just over $1,400. The market rent for these units is already past $2,000. Overall, our average rent-stabilized unit is $1,600, and the regular units are approaching $2,200. That is a direct correlation to the disrepairs that are happening. And I would like to add that ever since the county has taken over the building department in Spring Valley, they are inspectors all over the complexes who are forcing, and rightfully so, repairs to take place. But that being said, there needs to be funds to cover these repairs. We have spent over $225,000 in boiler upgrades since we purchased the property in 2019, and well over $150,000 in gutter and roof replacements. This is besides for the many other basic repairs, such as brick pointing and masonry work to keep the sidewalks intact, and the parking lots, and the water structures, the underground water structures. In short, we are not slumlords where if there is a rent freeze, there essentially is a service freeze, but it's not fair that every other local business can increase their income in line with expenses. We unfortunately in Rockland County have been operating with our hands tied behind our back. Our employees want more money and they deserve to make more money, just the same way all our tenants are. I understand that some people are having a hard time, but many people are making more money than they have in the past, and it doesn't make sense that the rents should remain the same. I'm hoping that this board doesn't continue to let the expenses surpass the income even more and continue to force landlords to decrease the quality and service that they can provide. There's another phenomenon that I'm witnessing. Because of the discrepancy between the rent stabilized rents and the market rents, there essentially is no turnover in rent stabilized apartments. I have personally witnessed people who using the rent stabilized apartments as their luxury second home. They go down to Florida, and because the rent is so cheap, they can keep that apartment offline for people in this community who can use those apartments. We pride ourselves in providing quality housing. That being said, we cannot be forced to make too many difficult decisions, and we hope to be able to maintain our property and for many years to come. We don't ever plan on selling, and I think that all the issues that are happening in Spring Valley is a direct result of the fact that the rents have fallen way below market rent, totally disincentivizing ownership from investing in their properties. Have a good evening.
Anyone else desire to be heard?
Yes, I would like to say. My name is Norman Hyman. I lived in Regency Village since 1971 when I came back from the Army. About in 2015, I was burned out of my apartment and I was moved to a different apartment within Regency Village. It turns out about 3 years ago, the Rockland County Building and Codes inspector came to my apartment. The bedroom floor was at such an angle, he put a level there and said, this has got to be fixed immediately. So he made the management do a temporary lifting of basement with molly post and things to get it up. But he said it's got to be permanently fixed. To my knowledge, it's been never permanently fixed. And the sump pumps under the building never pump water out. And in my personal apartment, I've got cracks around the windows, cracks around the seams of the dry walls. The dry walls themselves are flaking. I guess where the plaster is here from the board is flaking off. This is then the building inspector said this is caused by the building sinking. And they said they put a complaint on the outside of the door, do not do any work in this building until it's been repaired. But that was 3 years ago, the sign is gone. And the thing of it is, when I called the building inspectors back, they said they can't fix the inside till the basement is fixed. So I don't know. This is my story. I've lived there since 1971.
So that's the situation that I'm in. And as I said, I can't paint the apartment. There's no sense to paint the apartment or spec or anything because it just keeps, I guess, sinking, and so it's cracking around the windows, door frames, etc. So thank you very much.
Like the gentleman just said, Daniel just said, now that the county has taken over the inspection part, they are more visible on properties. So you may have a better opportunity to address that and other issues with the building inspector.
They're the ones who did it.
They are all over the place.
But the Rockland County Building Department did it. The inspector was Raphael, and there was a building engineer named Bill. That's the names that they gave me. Just for the information for the board.
3 years ago.
About 3 years ago, yeah. Yeah.
Broader base there, so maybe you need to try and reach out to them. Try reaching out to them tomorrow. We have another meeting tomorrow night.
But the problem is that underneath the building has to be structurally repaired. As I said, when the Rockland County Building Inspector was there the first day, the bedroom floor was at such an angle, he ran and got a level. And he said, this has got to be fixed within 3 days. So they got the molly post they put under the building to jack it up, and that's what the cracks were occurred from jacking it up. To my knowledge, it's never been permanently fixed. Thank you.
Sign up yet, but I can. Could I do that after the fact?
Yeah, the sheet is there. Please put your email address also.
Can't believe another year passed. It feels like I was just here last year. Let me just, if I speak tonight, am I precluded from speaking next Monday? Because I was here last year. I do, and I'm gonna keep it very general right now, and I'm gonna save it for next Monday. Because I want to go over facts and figures and statistics, but last year we had the DHCR come and give their analysis, and then there were 2 public hearings. Why is it, I'm just curious, are we having a public hearing tonight, the DHCR tomorrow, and then a public meeting? Right, no, I understand that. Last year we had DHCR and then 2 public meetings, and this year we're having public meeting, DHCR.
And public, state night.
Oh, it's a public hearing as well? Okay. Because it's easier to see the statistics. You know, I empathize with the tenants that have times are tough and there needs to be. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian Condon Paxos, I'm an attorney here for several of the landlords in the county. And I made the same argument last year, and I know some of the boards have changed, board members have changed. And I'll get into the specifics either tomorrow or on Monday. But inflation has gone up, cost of living has gone up, the consumer price index has gone up 4%. And last year, there was a lot of back and forth, and you voted for the 1% and the 2% for the various leases, where Rockland County hasn't had an increase consistent with New York City and Westchester in 7 years. New York City went up 5% in 2023. We went up 2%. Westchester, I think, went up 3.5%. I'm going to hand out the package that I handed out last year, probably tomorrow night. I was just concerned, again, that the DHCR figures, I guess, are going to be presented tomorrow, and I'll have an opportunity to sharpen the figures and hand it out. And again, the landlords aren't here to try to price gouge the tenants. The landlords are here to try to fix what needs to be fixed. And if everything else is going up, including insurance and taxes, and theirs are not, it's hard for them to keep up with what needs to be done. So I like to think that we're all on the same page here, that we want to see these services that are provided. However, the landlords do need the help of the increases in order to help ascertain what they need to get done. So I'm going to reserve my comments. I don't want to belabor the board. I just had a quick question about the DHCR, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future. So thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none. The entertain a motion to adjourn. We will be back in the same room tomorrow evening at the same time, 7 o'clock. And we will have more information and data to provide to you and share with you.
Second.
All in favor? I'll remove 7.